Greetings, brothers and sisters. We'd like to share the following information with you. Genesis 2:16 through 17 is the story of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You may have anticipated this question, which has been asked by many for millennia. Why would God forbid man from eating from the tree of good and evil? Brothers and sisters, follow me down this path I've carved for just a few minutes as we elucidate what I'm impressed the story of the tree of knowledge of good and evil truly means. First of all, this story, like many in the Bible, is meant to express the relationship between creator and creation, mind and matter. In other words, the story is about our inner, non-visible forces and their effect on our outer, visible reality. Being forbidden from eating from the tree of good and evil is really a warning about sensation. Sensation. The following information will elucidate my declaration. When we have ideas, we often experience the sensations of excitement, joy, and eagerness. Our ideas are the trees in nature's kingdom, or the tree of good and evil for purposes of this story. Now, what is critically important to understand is that because we are dual beings living on a dual plane, our excitement and joy can and often turn into disappointment. This is where expectation unfolds. Oftentimes, when we get excited and joyful about our ideas, we develop expectations of others who we involve in the attempt to manifest our ideas from our thought tree, if you will. Brothers and sisters, I want to be as clear and concise as possible, so allow me to illustrate what I mean about expectations with a real-life scenario that we all can witness. John got really excited when the idea occurred to him to throw a surprise birthday party for his girlfriend. He involved his 4 closest friends to help him think of ways of manifesting his idea. Long story short, 2 of his friends did not keep their commitments. Therefore, his surprise birthday party for his girlfriend had to be canceled. In the process, because John developed expectations of his friends, he grew more and more frustrated and eventually angry as their plans started to disintegrate. Does this sound familiar, brothers and sisters? Most people and even psychology consider expectations to be a normal and healthy part of human life. Nevertheless, I caution you about having expectations for the reasons expressed in my scenario. My great teacher and other members of my organization helped me come to the realization that we are to rise above expectation, though it may be extremely difficult to do, particularly since we were taught at a very early age to develop expectations. I surmise you're asking yourself, Brother Osiris, then what do we replace expectation with, especially when we are involved in activities that include others? What we should simply do is allow manifestation to prove itself. Manifestation to prove itself. In other words, those individuals who are assigned certain tasks should simply be observed to see if they're doing what they committed themselves to do. The danger in expectation, brothers and sisters, is that it is an assumption that the higher principle in others is going to control their thoughts, expressions, and actions. But we simply do not know if this will be the case. We also don't know what circumstances beyond the individual's control will affect their commitment as well. Allow me to elucidate. Paul is one of John's 4 friends who had committed himself to helping with the surprise birthday party. Unfortunately, though, because Paul is so lazy, he decides to let John know that he is backing out of the plan because he doesn't feel like completing all of his appointed tasks. Now, Paul's laziness, positioned with John's expectations of Paul, lead John angry with Paul and resentful of him as well. Had John never developed expectations of Paul and simply understood that he needed to allow manifestation to prove itself regarding Paul, John would have prevented those destructive impressions and said to himself, well, it's too bad Paul could not overcome the influence of his lower nature via laziness to complete his appointed task. But many of us have this inner obstacle to overcome. We'll just have to do the best we can with who we have. This has been a great learning experience for me, though. I know that I cannot rely on Paul, at least not presently. I will be wiser in the future. Brothers and sisters, I trust I have been clear. Sometimes matters are simply beyond one's control. Yet when we develop expectations of others derived from our excitement about our idea, the same destructive impressions that arose in John regarding Paul may also arise in John regarding his other friends, although they had absolutely no control over the circumstances that jeopardized or even ruined his plans for his girlfriend's surprise birthday party. So, I trust you can see how resisting developing expectations and simply delegating duties and allowing manifestation to prove itself is so much more beneficial to the individual. I know this is a very, very difficult pill for many to swallow. Give it some consideration anyway. As we transition back to the story of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, I am impressed with the following. Brothers and sisters, if I could rewrite the story of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, it would read something like this. Be very careful eating from the tree of sensation, because once you have an idea, if you are not careful, you will generate sensation about that idea in the form of excitement, joy, happiness, and so forth. Once you do so, you risk opening the door of expectation. Once you open the door of expectation, you open the door for disappointment, because disappointment often follows expectation, and very destructive impressions surround disappointment, such as impatience, frustration, anger, and resentment. Once these impressions culminate in you, you become detrimental to yourself and others. Brothers and sisters, once again, I trust I have been clear. So, brothers and sisters, it is sensation that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is meant to express. The sensations, excitement, joy, happiness, eagerness would be the good aspects of the tree. The sensations, frustration, anxiety, anger, resentment derived from disappointment would be the evil aspects of the tree. Sensation, brothers and sisters, sensation. They can be good or evil, or more accurately, constructive or destructive. Constructive or destructive. This is why we must be careful eating from the tree of sensation, because yes, you may get excited and happy about your idea, but you may grow frustrated and angry behind your disappointment as you develop expectations of others regarding executing your idea. This is the good and evil aspect, if you will, of this tree that we are cautioned to avoid. I leave you with this. When we open the book of our mind, the pages will start to peel. There is great wisdom in the expression, stay even keel. Thank you for your time and consideration. Love and harmony, Brother Osiris.